Well, hello everyone. I'm so glad that you made it. This is your creative collective for the YAB members. I am just a facilitator. This is your place. We're going to do hands-on training and bounce ideas off each other. My name is Sasha Lyons. I work for the Coalition to End Homelessness as well as the Alaska Coalition on Housing and Homelessness. I am a proud member of the LGBTQIS plus community. I go by she, her. I am the director of communications for the coalitions, and I'm really happy to be here today to have this opportunity. I've never done anything like this before, so I'm excited to jump right in. Um, Please note there is no real Q&A section for this course because I really do want it to be more of a collective where we all just throw ideas as they come to us. That being said, we are limited to an hour. So if you can hold your questions and ideas to the poll section or the hands-on section, great. If not, just raise your hand or just unmute and jump right in. That being said, let's just get going. First thing I would love to do is if you all could share a little bit, please put in the chat where you're from, your first name, even though I know they're on the screen, and just one little way that you like to express your creativity. And it can be anything like sketching, uh, if it is designing on the computer, fashion, collecting pretty rocks, arranging your shoes, whatever it may be, it's all art. Just some way that you like to show your creativity and express your vision of beauty in the world. If you just go ahead and put that in the chat so we can all just kind of know a little bit more about each other, that'd be awesome. I'm actually phoning in from Anchorage. I'm going to check the chat, see what you guys say. You're a poet. That's awesome, Jason. Very cool. Ooh, everyone else is feeling shy.
I'm typing for 2.
You're like, no, I'm not shy. I just got a lot to say. And while you're doing that, I have our 4-week course agenda up on the screen. It is pretty intensive. We're going to be meeting for 4 weeks on Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30. This week is all about defining what we're going to be presenting. It's defining our audience, defining the voice for the YAB brand, and the typography in particular for our hands-on. Next week, we'll be doing the design, where we talk about the importance of imagery, colors, and we're going to work on our logo idea, just like actually start working on the logo. Third week, we're going to go through and we're going to improve it. We're going to finalize a couple things. We're going to make some templates so you can see how it can work in the wild, like the brand when you're actually designing things for you. And the fourth week, we're going to launch it, and it's going to be about how to present the brand. Every week, it's going to follow kind of the same formula, short presentation, some live polls so everyone can weigh in, and then we're going to do a hands-on Canva design. We're going to just be using Canva because it's pretty much an industry standard right now. It used to be Illustrator. If you have another tool you like to use, great, but for now, we're just going to do Canva. And then there's going to be a quick assignment, just a pretty easy assignment after each week's lesson. Okay, I'm going to read. St. Lawrence Islands, Vunga, awesome. Dancing, that's awesome. And writing. I needed the pronunciation before when I first jumped on. A comic book artist, that's awesome. Cosplay, that's so cool. My family, we love to cosplay. This is just the same, and these slides I'm going to share after the course, so if you want to go through and have a little bit more of the details of the agenda. All right, so this week, we're going to start off with our welcome. Our campaign brief is what we're going to focus on first, and then go through our polls. There's going to be a little typography lesson, hands-on design, and then the assignment. That's the flow we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to tell a short story on how you can figure things out. So there I was 10 years old, and my dad decided that I was going to build him a website. Don't worry, it is supposed to be a blank screen. And it was back when websites were new. I'm actually quite old. And he wanted to be a cool realtor and have a website when not a lot of real estate agents had websites. It was a beautiful summer day in Alaska. The sun was shining. It smelled good. It was awesome. I just wanted to run around barefoot outside. I was a wild child. I wanted to, get pricker bushes stuck in my feet, whatever. I did not want to go inside, but my dad pulls me in, sits me down into the front of this beauty, a massive beige desktop computer. You might have to Google this, but this is what we used to have. It would make noise just turning it on. It sounded like an airplane taking off. Um, I really do miss the floppy disks, though. They smelled weird in a good way. So I looked at him and I said, I don't even know how to use a computer, Dad. And this is a very accurate depiction of me as a child. My bangs looked pretty much like that, unfortunately. My dad said, figure it out. I don't know if anyone else has parents like that, but yeah, it was very little help. And I did. I literally just had to figure it out. Yeah, he did. He pointed to the help button, and I had this stupid little Clippy guy. This was like the first AI, if people don't know. His name was actually Clippy. It's the millennial boomer AI assistant. I clicked around that old computer. I broke things. I fixed the HTML that I'd broken. I stayed up way too late looking at pixels and code that I didn't understand. And then eventually, somewhere in the middle of it all, I kind of fell in love with it. I loved learning how to make things work, building something out of nothing, something that other people could see that wasn't there before. I fell in love with digital creation. I absolutely loved it. But the biggest thing was I learned how to figure it out. Even if I hadn't ended up liking it, I had that skill that no matter what I was faced with, I could find out how to do it if I really had to. Life is, unpredictable. Fast forward a few years, I became a mom young. I stepped away from my career and I had two babies. And life took a very unexpected turn that I didn't plan for. There was a season where I had no home, I had no savings, no safety net. I had given up my career and I had nothing except for one thing. I knew how to build. I knew how to make something out of nothing. Knew how to design. I had a skill. And even in that really dark space and in that place, I was able to figure things out. I do want to stop here and I want to say right from the get-go, I don't believe that skills can save you or that you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Having a skill to turn to is like having a life vest more than anything. It's something that keeps you up, your head above water, visible to a rescue team. We all need a helping hand. A skill can help someone pull you out of the water. And sometimes you can bob to shore, but it's not the end all be all to have a skill or a trade to turn back to, but it sure helps when people are trying to help you out if you have something that they can grab onto. Now, with this course, it's all your turn to figure it out, learn new things, or if you're already a digital design artist, maybe expand on your skills. There is one difference though. You'll have a little help. You won't have to just rely on Clippy, our delightful, useless friend. He was the worst assistant ever. Now we're going to build something powerful. It's going to be your voice, your creativity, your brand. It's going to express the youth of Alaska, and it'll be part of a future resume that you can turn to and a project that you can point to that you were a part of. Welcome to the YAB Creative Collective. And now let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is the campaign brief. We always start a project as a design professional with a campaign brief, so you know what in the world your client wants, first of all. If you're just going out and you have no idea what the target audience is, who you're making it for, you're in the dark, you're blind. So we're going to start with this, and this is where we all start weighing in. So now if you all have a smartphone, groovy, you can scan this code. If you do not have a smartphone, I can put the link in the chat. And I will do that. That's why I have an extra picture over here. All right, so the question is, who are we designing the YAB brand for? A couple of suggestions might be youth who have faced housing insecurity. We could say we're trying to design it for people who do not understand young people who have faced housing insecurity.
I sent it.
All right, has everyone had a chance to scan that code and go on? I'm gonna move on to see if we have any answers. I might need to push that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, great. Vulnerable individuals, especially youth, yes. Marginalized group, very important up here, isn't it? Yeah, organizations that make the policies that affect young lives, huge. If anyone didn't get a chance to scan that or click it, just let me know. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these answers and we're going to put it into a little design brief at the end. So let's move on to our next question. Hold on, I got to switch the poll to the other question so you can scan it. Here we go. What is the brand feeling? What is the feeling when people see the brand? What reaction do you have emotionally? Everyone take a moment to weigh in. Everyone get a chance. Let's see what we got. Curiosity, open-mindedness, empathy, safe, confident, comfortable. We have quite a few here. These are great. Awestruck, yeah, yeah. Sense of pride. That's huge. A safe place. Curious, serving, helping, uplifting one another. These are fantastic. Wonderful. Right, let me activate the next one. This is our last campaign brief question. The voice. This is a little different than just your emotional reaction when you see the brand. This is what you hear. What do we sound like? What do we come across? What are we telling people with our brand? I'm just seeing all the chats. All right, let's see what we got here. Competent, brave, strong, protective, loud. Our voice is consisted of our stories and stories from other youth who haven't found their voice. We're speaking for others that haven't found their voice or haven't found a way to share their story. These are all very powerful messages. These are strong. These are not the voices or the stories of victims necessarily. This is strength. I love this. These are beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top 3 that you all vote on there, and I'm going to send this out later. So if you have extra thoughts, you can go back in and submit more or thumbs up more. But I'm going to put them in this campaign brief. It's going to be our target audience from your top 3 answers, your brand feeling and brand voice. And we're going to keep going back to our campaign brief. Whenever we're stuck and we're like, I don't know what image to use here, you go back to your campaign brief. You say, does this match our brand feeling? Does this match our brand voice? It's basically your blueprint that you create. Now, just so everyone, if you have never experienced a professional campaign brief, sometimes they get very intense. You'll have if it's a short-term campaign, you'll have your success measures, so your KPIs and your how you're going to measure if the campaign was successful. You'll have any sort of budget attached. They'll get very in-depth, but this is the top 3 I really wanted to highlight as we get started here. We can kind of build this out if we continue on with the Creative Collective and we want to keep building upon this campaign brief, but this is a great starting spot. All right, let's jump into typography because that is what this define it. We're going to start with the words. We're not going to start with the imagery. When people think design, they initially think some sort of visual picture, but we're going to start with the text because it's also very important because typography tells a story. Basically, when I'm saying a sentence, the sentence can do numerous things. It can just rattle on and not have any sort of emphasis, or it can communicate a meaning. For example, when you say a sentence, sometimes you pause. Sometimes you put emphasis by slowing down a little bit. The same with typography. It needs to breathe. You can't just crowd characters and don't crowd your lines because then nothing stands out. Everything is holding its breath with typography. If you've ever read something and you notice that it's just all blurring together, it's just running together like water running through ink, you'll notice that that happens when you don't give your typography room to breathe. I like one of my favorite comedians likes to say, if you put the emphasis on the long syllable, you don't know what you're saying. Your emphasis really matters. The volume of your typography, the pause, the tone, the speed. If you're saying everything super fast, then sometimes you don't even understand what you're saying and it just gets lost. It's important to give that presence to your text. You can change a lot of things just by editing your text slightly. Doesn't have to be flashy, it doesn't have to be loud, but sometimes just those little changes make things stand out. When you are having a very short amount of time, like a Facebook post or Instagram, TikTok, your main idea that you want to stick with people has to stand out. Look at this bold text here. If everything is loud, nothing is important. Everything is loud, so nothing stands out because it's all loud. But if some things are quiet and some things are very loud, then some things stand out the way you want it to. But you have to think about, what do you want to stand up out in that text? Really think about, what is the end message that you want your target audience to walk away with. So if the YAB headline is really small and the paragraph below is super big, the viewer may not even notice that YAB posted it. That might be your intention, but be aware of that. If your text is too crowded, it's harder to read and it's harder to remember. It feels constricted, confining, a little panic. Okay, now that we've went over the rules, let's go for the plot twist. Here's the deal. Design rules exist for a reason. There's a reason that the human brain processes what it sees in text that we've learned to read different ways. It helps people to understand, read, process information more easily. But if you know why, you understand why a rule is there, if you understand the background and the reason, you can sometimes break the rules intentionally. That's where your creativity can really come into play. So I used to coordinate weddings as a side gig. And the big rule with weddings is there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of etiquette behind it, and people get really kind of ridiculous about it. But here's the thing about rules. If you know the rule, you're allowed to break it. It's kind of like the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law, the intention of the law. So learn the rules, know the rules, understand the purpose, and then break it with very specific intention. For example, let's look at this rule. The rule is typography, like we were talking about crowded. It can convey a sense of speed, urgency, and disruption. It's disconcerting. It throws us off, you know, like when you notice those crowded letters on the screen, it looked wrong, but it did draw your attention because it was wrong. Sometimes you want that. For example, this is all bold text. This is tight. All the spacing has been squished, but it does make a nice little logo because it's Raven Express. This is a business that is trying to deliver goods quickly. It's trying to break the rules because it does things unconventionally to get you your stuff faster than everybody else. It's breaking rules. It's fast. It's all uppercase because it wants to be yelling in your face. Yeah, the emphasis on the Raven makes it stand out. It's bold. So you can read it a little better. Now, if that was all bold, it would be a little more difficult. So remember, learn the rules because they are there for a purpose and it's important. But then have a little fun with it. Break them, put them upside down. Sometimes an upside down word, it distracts you, but you can still read it. Your brain is a powerful and interesting thing. Once you know the rules, you'll know how to twist it. But know it first. Here's a little cheat sheet. So there's a lot of debate about serif versus sans serif. Both are good. They're just conveying different things. Serif is really good for formal documents. It's trustworthy. If your brand is, say, a law's office, serif is generally a better choice. Sans serif is modern, it's clean, it's simple. Lightweight can be more minimalistic and calm and elegant. Bold, it's confident, it grabs your attention, it can stand out. Uppercase, it's yelling, it's authority, it's urgency, headlines. Read all about it. Lowercase, sentence case, it's friendly, it's natural, easy to read. Now, this is not going into compliance for people with visual and learning disabilities. So when you're designing and you're worried that you need to be compliant for people who might have visual disabilities, look that up because that's very important. Sometimes sans serif works better for that. Your colors, you know, light on dark, dark on light, those all make a difference. We're going to go a little bit more into the ADA compliance, is what it's called, in the next week's session. We're going to go into how to make things easier for people who may have a visual disability, have difficulty reading. Dyslexia is a real thing that we have to look out for as designers because you have to make sure that everybody can get your message. That might even mean putting your main call to action, what you want them to see, your message, in different ways. Maybe a visual, a picture, maybe a little icon, maybe the typography, all on the same design because you're speaking to people with different abilities. Does that make sense? Everyone's still on board with that? But we will go a little bit more into that compliance in the next session. All right. That is the quick lesson that we had for today. We are going to jump into the hands-on designing, and we're going to start going into our design. Before we do that, do we have any thoughts or questions or just like, yeah, that makes sense, or I've noticed that before in the past? Just go ahead and unmute, share. And I'm going to pull up our Canva link and put it in the chat as well. We're going to do a shared Canva, and I'm going to share the screen. We're all going to jump into Canva together. It's going to be a madhouse. I'm so excited. Has anyone ever noticed a brand before that the typography was really weird and it kind of was cool and it worked? Like it just made it stand out?
Walgreens typography is so like loopy, but like homey feeling. It's
Yeah.
always been like a disconcerting to me, I guess.
Like, why for Walgreens? Yeah, sometimes you see something and it just sometimes designers will make something purposely so bad it's memorable. Like so bad it's good, you know? Because we're inundated with beautiful designs and professionalism, and especially in today's world with AI, things are just getting spit at us constantly that are just polished and beautiful and perfect and filters all over everything. Sometimes when you post something that has that little nitty-gritty reality to it, it it makes us feel more safe and trustworthy. Like, oh, look, a human being that I can relate to is behind this. So that's another way that you can look at it is you don't always have to be perfect. All right. Everybody, I am going to stop sharing for a second. Oh, wait, I already did stop sharing. I am going to go into the Canva, open it up. Oh, you're already in there. Awesome. This is so cool. Okay, now I'm going to share again the Canva so we can all just kind of watch as well. But based on our,
Are
and I'm
we
going to,
are we supposed to be clicking on the link because I'm logged into my Canva, but it's not doing anything when I click on it?
let's see here. So when you click on the link, what is it doing for
Oh,
you?
now it's
There you
working.
are. Okay.
It's working.
Yeah. Okay. So we were going to kind of decide on a couple drivers who want to like start the design, but if you want to just go crazy, that's fine too. But here's what I want first. I want to have YAB, and then I want to have a tagline below it. And you all are going to decide what font best fits the YAB brand based on our answers in our campaign brief. And I can read those out to you as well to keep us all on the same page. So I'm going to stop sharing because we can all see this. And I'm going to go back to our answers. All right, so in here, and I'll just start it off here for you guys. Who wants to have control of the mouse first? Raise their hand. And if there's more than one person, that's fine. You can fist fight digitally. Not seeing anyone's hand raised. I'm just going to pick one then. All right. Oh, is Timothy even on the call? Timothy's running around in here and I don't even see him on the call. That's crazy.
So that is my legal name. I like to go by Gone.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's just your login name. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, Cohen.
All good.
All right. Cohen, would you like to take the first stab at it? And let's take that YAB. And let's, first of all, it's pretty small. That's another thing to think about with typography and ADA compliance. Some things may be very visible for us on the screen. For other people, it's too small. The um standard, the smallest that you will want to go for text on screen is 16 point, just for reference.
Okay.
Anything below that, if you're on a website, if it's below 16 point, you can do it, but know that some people will visually not be able to read it.
I see.
And it will not pass if you, for example, if you ever apply for a grant to fund a creative project, some grants are very specific about your ADA compliance and they will knock you for not having a website that is accessible for all.
Interesting. I am trying to figure out how to fontify this text. Oh wait, oh there it is. Okay, I found the fonts.
You got it? So the first question you might want to ask is with our YAB brand answers. Oh, I was pulling that up and I got sidetracked. With our design brief answers, do we think sans serif or serif? So serif is when you have the little knobbies on the ends of the letters, and then sans serif is where it's all clean and smooth. And that was a weird way to explain that. So let me know if I need to expound.
I think sans serif would be nice. Yeah.
It's more youthful. It feels younger, a little bit more approachable for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, there's a lot of serifs available. Ooh, this one looks. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
that's kind of cool. Um,
Very funky A.
it is a funky A. Another consideration is when you're a designer and you are doing digital design for a project, is not all programs have the same fonts available. So if you wanted to keep your brand consistent and use the same fonts in your logo, in your documents, Word or Google Docs may not have the font that you selected. To So if you want to make sure it's consistent across all platforms, you'd have to look up a Google, is this a Google font? If you're using Google Docs for your documents or if you're using Word, it's not a huge deal because sometimes logos just use a completely different font, but it's something to consider for your brand consistency is to pick a font that is universal. A universal font you will be able to find in most of your programs. That way you can keep everything looking like when people see it, they're like, ah, that's the YAB brand. I recognize that. That looks consistent.
We found a font that's called Deja Vu Serif, and that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
So serif would be a little, that's more authoritative. That would instill more like trust. It does have that strength because you were talking about your strength in a lot of your voice. So that does fit with that. I'm looking up Deja Vu font to see if it is a Google font as well. It looks like it's an Adobe font.
Oh no.
It's okay though. You do not have to make it all across the board. But what the thing is, a lot of brands will have two fonts. One font for your headline, and that can be so fun, that can be whatever you want. And then for your tagline, do a universal font so you can tie everything together. So your tagline would be YAB, and then below it could be, instead of like, it could be either a slogan that you have, or it could just be the spelling out of the acronym. So Youth Action Board below. So I would recommend finding a universal font for that, the spelling out below your sub heading. Okay, pull everywhere. Why is it being like this? There we go. Oh, that's fun. Also consider, is there a way to pull in, and this could come in next week when we explore the imagery, but how do you, if you want to bring in some Alaskan elements, well, that's fun. Yeah, maybe in that subtext, put in youth action board so you can kind of visualize what it'll look like. Make it all one line. There you go. Now, a fun thing with Canva, if you are not used to it, if you right-click on your text or anything in Canva, you should be able to click align and it'll align it on the page and you don't have to drag it to the middle. Ooh, a background. And if you find one you like, but you want to keep exploring, you can add a page over here and start another one so you can compare them. Or duplicate and change it thusly. Yeah. So you can kind of play around, and if you find one you like but you're not sure yet, but you don't want to lose it, you can save it there and then start on another one. I do love that you put a little space between your YAB and the youth action board. Give it that space to breathe. When we're picking the serif text, the font, are we drawn to the serif text because it does give that authority?
Yeah, because as a like, at least in my experience as a YAB, oftentimes we can run into situations where we feel ignored.
Mm-hmm.
So we've learned to we've adapted to being a lot more bold.
Yeah. What if we try, just a suggestion, what if we try keeping the serif for the YAB at top, and then for the youth action board, make it all caps but sans serif,
Hmm.
so that it doesn't look so sharp. Because right now it's looking a little pokey.
Mm.
And you can take or leave any of these suggestions. While you're designing that, I'm going to read through one more time the brand voiced to make sure. Does this match? All right, our target audience. Do these fonts, will they appeal? Will they speak to our vulnerable individuals, especially youth and marginalized groups? Will they feel welcomed? Oh, you're already starting with imagery. That's for next week. You're just jumping on ahead.
Oop.
That's great though. I mean, honestly, as much as we can get done, if we get done more in the session and we still have 15 minutes.
I feel like we might want to change, like you mentioned, it's a little sharp. I don't know if like other youth would, uh, it would catch their eye with it being looking as clean as it is. I'm not sure.
Go ahead, you can unmute. I see your hand raised there.
Am I supposed to be creating one too on a different page?
Sure, yeah. Anyone that wants to jump in on a page, and then you guys can vote on ones you really like or thoughts that you like about each other's. In Canva, you can click on the page and there'll be a little comment bubble up there if you see that. So I'm going to make a little comment and say, so fun. And then you can leave comments and you can vote up and say, oh, I really like that one. Or favorite. Maybe we can next week, maybe we'll start off by going through them one more time and say, like, which one of these is our favorites? Which one's really standing out? So let's go through again. Page number 1 here, which has our little star because we only have 15 minutes left or less. Will this speak to our vulnerable individuals, vulnerable youth? Will this speak to organizations that make the policies that affect youth's lives? Would a young person that's faced insecurity feel welcomed? Or would they feel intimidated? Try to keep Youth Action Board on one line because when you divide it up, it will, your vision, your eye, the time it takes to jump down to board creates a pause in your head that divides them. So it would be Youth Action Board and it wouldn't be one thought. So you won't remember it as Youth Action Board. If you want to make the whole design fit the page so you have more room to play, we can do that too. I can do that for you if you'd like. I'm going to go to page 2. Yeah, make it a little bigger for you. Okay, hold on 1 sec. Let's make you a little bigger. There you go. Yeah, some more room. Yeah. All right, page number 2. We have a lot of script. The script is very welcoming, very warm, very cozy, but maybe a lot to digest because it's a lot for some people. They do have trouble reading script. The YAB itself could be creative. I would maybe keep the YAB script and then the Youth Action Board the way it is now. Yeah, that's nice. I like where we're going with this first one. It's looking like a badge, which is fun. I like that we have 2 going on here. Would anyone else like to weigh in on jumping in here? We have our two lead designers at the moment, which is working out pretty well. All right, I'm going to skip to the next thing in our brand campaign while we look at these. When you look at page number 1, do you feel safe, confident, and comfortable? Does it make you feel interest and curiosity, open-mindedness, empathy? How about number 2? Page number 2, when you look at it, do you feel empathy? Do you feel confident and safe and comfortable. These are things you need to ask when you're designing. And sometimes it's just a gut feeling. Maybe close your eyes for 3 seconds, open them again, and look at it with new eyes. Because sometimes when you're designing, you're just like laser focused in and you're looking and you're looking and you're not seeing the big picture. It's kind of like when you're painting. I don't know if any of you paint, but when you're painting, sometimes you get so in the minutia that you don't stand back and look at it. Right, the last question in our brand campaign, our guide. This page 1 feels strong, protective, is it loud, the voice of the community, upcoming leaders that want to make a powerful, meaningful impact. Yeah, it's expressing a lot of that. Oh, we totally started over on two. Oh, I like the paint splash. That's fun. Ah. Oh, I like that. That's the way the all caps is looking nice. That's bold. That's loud. Now, do you have favorite things about one and favorite things about two that maybe you could combine in a way?
The spray painting effect is really, I'm jazzing with it. I like it a lot.
It's fresh, it's young, it stands out. You're making a mark, almost like street art, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
because a
making
lot
a
of us
mark.
live on the streets.
I love it. And next week, we're going to go into a little bit about how you can take your physical art, like maybe a sketch or something you've drawn, and turn it into digital. We're not going to dwell too much on that in this course, just because it is difficult to transfer art into a digital form that is usable across all um, mediums and platforms. But we will touch on it a little bit. This is fabulous, you guys. And here, this will be available. This link will be active for you, and I can send it afterwards because I also want, there was a couple people who couldn't join that I might put their name on one of the little pages so they can practice around. But I want you to play around with it, see what feels right. And then what we're going to do next week is we're all going to look at it and we're going to just vote. Like, what do we like about one? What do we like about the other? Is there a way we can combine them? Take everyone's ideas. This is a wonderful, wonderful start. This is way further actually than I thought we would get today. So good job, guys. Awesome. The only thing left in our course is our assignment, and it's pretty simple. I will pull it up. And you can keep playing with this as long as you want. Like I said, this link will be active. So even after this session is over, you guys can just keep going on in here, work together. I can even leave this meeting open if you would like to just discuss it more amongst yourselves. Just let me know what would be easiest for you guys. I know before I saw someone pop in a little moose antler design, and I do love the moose for the Alaska aesthetic is.
Sorry, what was the assignment?
Oh, are we ready for it? I didn't want to rush you guys. You were all doing so well in here, but I can pull it up now. I'll pull it up and then you can keep putzering away in there. Hold on, let me share my screen again. All right, week 1 assignment. I have a very short 4-minute crash course YouTube for you to watch. I will put the link in the chat, but I'm also going to email this to you so you don't have to worry about saving it. And then I have an assignment PDF for you to fill out. It is basically just watch the video and then share a few thoughts that you had on it. But I will send that out to you after this. If you could get those filled out and watch the video before next Wednesday, that'd be fantastic. I really appreciate you all showing up and jumping right in the design. That's what I really was hoping would happen. Are there any other questions for me as you are developing the brand at this point, just the typography side of it?
What font did you recommend that we look more into? Sans, what was it called?
I really would recommend you have a sans serif for one of your fonts. So if you're in Canva there, here, maybe I'll just share my screen again. Hold on. When you're in Canva, get in here. So sans serif, pop over here. This is serif. You see how it has the little lines defining the edges? It's more old school. It's more old-fashioned. It's hard for some people to read and it's easier for others. So there's a big debate which one's easier. It goes both ways. So this is also serif because it has the lines. I would recommend to have a sans serif because it will make your brand very consistent if you have a web page. It is difficult to have a ton of text or a flyer in serif. It makes it look very old-fashioned and like a legal document. It's great if you're trying to get, like the header, you want to have that authority, you want to have that that position. But it's really nice to have something like this, a sans serif, where it's smooth, it flows a little more easy, it's not quite so stuffy.
So if we look at the font section and like search up sans serif, it should pop up.
Yeah, so if I go in here, and you can literally go to the search bar, or it should be even in here. Should be able to search sans serif in there. They'll know. I know there's a way to set it in the filter. Maybe it's in here. Oh, here we go. Sans serif. These are my selected sans serifs. But I like Poppins because it is a universal font that you can find on most web pages. It is not a Microsoft font, so it won't be on Word documents, but that is one thing to look. You could just Google it. Like, if you find a sans serif font that you really like, why is it just showing up just my top results here? I don't want top results. I want all of them. So this one is a sans serif. If you find one you like, you can Google it and say, like, or even just open a document that you're going to be using, like Google Doc, and say, is this in here? If you have a website, you can see if it's available.
Okay.
Some of the most classic ones are Arial. That is one of the most classic of all the sans serif fonts. One of the most classic serif fonts is Times New Roman. You're probably very familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would definitely keep something sans serif so it's not quite so sharp and rigid and old-fashioned and stuffy, because you don't want to look like a legal document. You don't want to look behind the times,
Yeah. And also when we're done completing that PDF assignment, do we email it to you?
Yes, please. Email
Okay.
it back to me. That would be fantastic. So I can look over it. Yep, and that's it. And I'm going to send that out after this. Thank you all. Any other thoughts before we all say goodbye for this week? Yeah, go ahead, design away. I love this. With next week, if any of you have trouble with the time, I will be sending out a recording afterwards. So I'm going to send this recording out afterwards as well to the list. If you can just watch it and then go through the assignment. If you have any questions at all, please just either email me. My number should be in my email signature, and I respond very well to text. I'm not huge on answering phone calls, so you can try, but I can't guarantee I'll answer. I do struggle with that. But I do answer texts. So go ahead and text and email away. Love to chat about it. Or if you want to set up a different time before next Wednesday to just go through the logo and have, if you have questions, let me know. Thank you so much, everyone. Yep, I will send that out as soon as we say goodbye. Bye, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing.
All right. Thank
Have an
you.
excellent
Bye.
Bye.
week.
You
Have a
have a
good
wonderful rest of
night.
your week. I'll see you next
Thank you.
Wednesday.
See you
You
next
Bye.
too.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Bye.